Welcome to the Frugal Studio Sketching Plein Air from Home. The fact this fancy storefront, I think, is the type of storefront that hails from the early 1800s. This particular building will make a delightful sketch. But before we get into that, let's talk about you wanting to do some sketching. There are a lot of roadblocks to prevent you from sketching, like what to sketch and what materials to sketch with. How will I find the time to do some sketching? Where will I go to do the sketching? How will I go about doing the sketch? I have answers to all of these questions. I will provide you with the opportunity to sketch interesting subjects from the comfort of your own home, present you with delightful sketching subjects, and a list of easily available materials, probably from an office supply store. You'll find the list and the sources in the description below. I'll also provide a step-by-step video that you can follow and visit whenever and as many times as you like. And by the way, at the price of $5 for a PDF kit with a reference photo and a grid applied to it and a copy of my finished sketch, also a grid matching the reference photo grid rendered in a very pale gray that you can draw right over. When you have finished the sketch, the underlying grid will be barely noticeable. The links to the kit can be found in the description. I'm showing the marker kit that I'm suggesting for this sketch. It consists of 3 Sharpie markers, a Chisel Point, a Fine Point, and an Ultra Fine Point, plus a neutral gray felt marker that has a Chisel Point and a Fine Point. Also, there's a white pen, a gel pen, which I find, or you can find at a like Michael's or a craft store. I'm starting this sketch while I'm drawing right on top of the very light or pale gray grid, and I'm using the gridded reference photo that you see in the top left-hand corner. I'm also using an ultra-fine Sharpie marker. Now I love doing this freehand, and this is in real time. The only place where I've done some editing is if I spent too much time getting another pen or something, so I cut all that out. But as you can see, I'm just slowly doing this, and a very big part of the charm of this sketch is that it's done freehand. So don't get all precious about it. If you make a mistake, just keep going, or what you think is a mistake. Very often mistakes that are made turn out to be a big part of the charm. So this is going to take a little while to plot out. Now I'm referencing where each of these little shapes go on the grid. There'll be some long, quiet times while I wait to talk about something new that's going on. There we go. I like that. This type of freehand sketch is just so full of charm. Now, it looks pretty dubious right from the beginning. I mean, once the line drawing is done, it looks kind of, yeah. But once we start filling in some of the areas with the black and the gray, you'll see that it comes to life. Lots of little decorations on this. Wonderful little decorations. And again, I'm using the grid lines that you can barely see here that are referenced on the photo that's in the top left corner. I do a lot of dithering, so this should give you some confidence. I spent a fair amount of time thinking, where the heck does this go? Well, the line, that is. I try to keep all of my markers to my right-hand side there, so they've easy accessibility. But even so, I've had to cut away from this video occasionally because I've taken 15 minutes to find the marker I want to use. Well, that's an exaggeration, but anyway. There is a lot of detail in this storefront. I try to keep it to an absolute minimum. I mean, if you start putting in all of the details and all their various intricacies, it would start to fill in and look pretty black. So as you can see, I'm taking my time. I don't think this sketch took any more than a half an hour to do. An awful lot of eyeball measurement. You see that little line doesn't quite meet with the other one. I don't care. Just leave it. Actually, the reason I'm doing voiceover here, normally if I had the video going, or the video recorder going, usually a camcorder, it has a good enough microphone on it that it can pick up my sound quite easily. But I was hoping that that would happen, and when I was doing this, it turns out that I forgot that the air conditioner was on, and so, excuse me, my voice was kind of clouded with the background buzz of the air conditioner. A lesson learned. In future, I'm hoping that I don't have to do a voiceover. I think all of these Sharpie pens I got actually from Staples. The paper itself I got from Michael's. It comes in not a pad, but a sort of a wrapped number of papers. I think it's about 25 or 30 sheets in it. It's like a light Bristol board or a cover stock. And I printed the grid off on my computer printer. Now I'm moving down into the sidewalk side, or the sidewalk height storefront. Finish the second story. I'm using a grid reference there. You can't see it, but I'm using it. That's right on the paper. I don't know what that is, a little canister or container down at the sidewalk level. They're just little shapes. As you can see, I'm drawing very simple shapes. These windows, you often see them in a lot of these this era of buildings, and I think they're the kinds of things that are sort of like mass-produced things that you could buy already made up and just install. Yeah, the doorway now. And a couple of little OGs in the corners there. And then the steps. That one really was on an angle. And some boxes out the front. Notice simple shapes. The only reason that I'm dithering is that I'm looking at the references from the grid. And a couple of little side buildings here that just add some general interest. Yeah, that side building on the right, I had to stop it because it came off the edge of the photo. So I'm just drawing around the circumference of this to anchor it on the page. Okay, here comes the chisel point. This is when the thing really starts to come alive. I'm filling in. I start off by filling in all the big solids where they occur. Windows on the door. I love Chisel Point markers. I used to do a lot of pen and ink sketches, and it took me forever to fill in a dark area. And actually, I was quite good at doing them, but the time it just took too long. Now, for those of you who know me, I'm actually leaving some negative space there, the mullions. I didn't fill it right in. I'll leave that little white streak there. And the same thing will happen for the cross mullions. And again, I'm just doing spots. And the cross mullions, I'm going to try and leave those out as well. There's some white bits in the window, and rather than try and paint them in with the gel pen, I'm going to try and leave them. As we call it, negative painting. There's some vertical lines that go up there. These little bits that come down, it'll forget what they're called. It'll come to me later. They paint them black. Now I'm looking for fairly large or very strong black lines now rather than shapes. These wonderful little dental tooth things up in there that add such a decoration to it. They really look good. Just shadow lines under some of the detail. Yeah, I almost forgot that one. And there's the fairly dark area up there. big shadows. And I think there's the dental tooth things in there as well. Yeah, there we go. As you can see on the photograph, they're all there. Now, I do a lot of little circular things here because there's bushes there, right? And this is an interesting technique. If you just do a bunch of circles and then go dot, dot, dot over top of them, it gives the impression of trees or foliage. And the little windows there. Okay. I'm going to do the trees now. Just scribble in there, make kind of circly motions. It's a technique that's sort of akin to scrubbing or scumbling, but we're just using a marker to do it. Now I want white things to come through. Right, so that makes it look like broken leaf stuff. And you can see why I put the border around it to isolate it from the edge of the paper. It gives a nice clean look. And we'll do the right hand side now. Again, just little circly, scribbly things. And fill in solids. See that? Just squirrelies, and then I'll go tap, 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 tap. Too bad the sound's gone because that was really interesting. Okay, so now I'm tapping just to break up those things so they don't look like all circly things. Yeah, tap, tap, tap. Well, I'm going to take a sneeze. I'm now reaching for the gray marker, a neutral gray, and I'm going to cover an awful lot of this sketch with the gray, and it really does bring it alive. If I can manage to get the top off of it, maybe we can get something done here. I'm trying to figure out which one to use. I want a medium gray. Those are markers, I think, that you can get from Michael's. Anyway, let's just do it. Oh, this is a dark one, actually, fairly dark. That's to push the doorway back in. I'm not going to use a lot of that marker. I'm going to get another one that's a little darker, a little lighter, and that looks like it. Try to get the fat chisel point. Yeah. This looks dark, looks very dark, but it's not. It could have been lighter, but actually, as it turned out, I really like this. Now, you have to be very careful with markers. You can only make one stroke, and that's it. If you go over top of that stroke, as you can see on that vertical stroke I just made, or that horizontal, it gets darker. So you've got to be very careful just to try and make one stroke and leave it. Now I'm going to fill in some of those white bits showing through, or sky holes in the trees, to push them back. They were kind of gathering a little bit too much attention. I guess I'm done with that. Here we go with the white Jello pen. This is awesome. Trying to find the lid for that. Oh, still got more to do. Okay. Yeah, I just checked to make sure it works okay. There's a little bit of decorative molding on all of these panels, so the white just brings it out. I think you can see this on your screen when you're watching it. This just adds such color to it, you know, such interest. You can see I missed a spot there, so I'm going to have to go back and put the gray in. And I picked the wrong one. Wouldn't you know? But it doesn't matter. It's charming. So I put the white in there. Should have actually waited for that to dry, because sometimes the pen picks up the fibers on the thing, on the point of the nib. Yeah, just want to put a few fine gray lines in. I'm using the right one, but I'm never sure. I was using the right one, so we went back and got it. I cut that little bit out. Okay, I forgot that. Oh, I'm filling in those teeth, pushing them back a little bit. They were, and they are in shadow, so it makes, oh, that's so cool. We're getting pretty close to the end here. I think I'm going to put a John Henry on this. Oh no, there's some neat stuff to do now. I have to get that white pen out again. There's some stuff in the windows, the street level windows that really make, if you don't have them, it kind of looks boring, sort of thing. There's actually a vertical missing in there in the mullion. There we go. Okay. Put a line around those windows, the molding, and there's some panels at the bottom. I put some lines around to create those panels. Now, I went over the top of that a little bit, so I'm just, oh, there's a wreath there, so I'm going to try and imitate that with the pen, or the white pen. And there's little white spots here and there that you can look at. And in Windows, it's kind of important to have those bits. It gives a kind of texture, interest, little places of interest. Little white spots here and there. See that? And it gives you some depth. Yeah, I missed out on, I went a little wild there and covered off something that should have been white. I'm just seeing little spots. Don't, if you see them, draw them. And I'm just going to add some little blacks that I need the fine point, or the ultra fine point, to put in. That adds a lot of interest. Here we go. Time for the big signature. This ends this little sketch. Oh, no, it isn't a signature. I'm doing some little bit of stuff in there. I thought there was some shingles I sort of indicated on that sloping roof. Yeah, there we go. As I said, this would have been on the original narration. A couple of little more spots. I kind of get finicky after a while, so I just add little bits here and there just for the fun of it. Oh, here goes the John Henry. So that's the end of this wonderful sketch. By the way, before I get on with this fun and entertaining idea, it would be great if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell to get notice of newly uploaded Frugal Studio videos. And after watching one of my sketching videos, you might want to share it with a friend. I would really, of course, appreciate a thumbs up.